What if it was impossible to go a day in your city without encountering Jesus through his people on mission everywhere, every day? Welcome to the Saturate podcast, where we equip everyday disciples and leaders to make Jesus known in the everyday stuff of life. We'll share real stories and practical tools to equip you as you live as God's people, where you live, work, learn, and play. We're so glad you're here. Hello, I'm Jeff Vanderstelt, Executive Director of Saturate. Whether you lead a church, a small group, or simply want to be a disciple who helps others follow Jesus and become disciple makers, we want to come around you and support you and encourage you in the work God's called all of us to do. And two guys that I know believe in the priesthood of the believer, love to equip the saints for the work of ministry and keep mobilizing people as much as God gives them the ability to do it, are Brian Johnson and Rob Wegner. And so, guys, I'm so glad you're here with us. I'll have you introduce yourself more. I think a lot of people that listen know you and know who you are, but I'll just say personally, you're two of my favorite guys that I get to do ministry with. I wish we lived in the same city.
Amen.
Yeah, I woke up this morning feeling loneliness this morning. I was with my wife, so I wasn't lonely for her, but I was lonely for comrades, for partners in ministry, and I was anticipating getting to talk to you guys, and we were talking about how a lot of my work is all over the world. So when I get to be with you, I feel less lonely and I feel deeply satisfied. And it's partly because you two are men that have also done your work on your soul, a lot of the same work that I've done emotionally. You're men that are deeply committed to the mission of Jesus and in everyday life. You, if anything, you're as much of kindred spirit as anybody I know. 'Cause we're doing the same kind of work, just in different places. So I'm so thankful for you guys. And if you don't know who Brian and Rob are, they're in Kansas City. They're part of the Kansas City Underground, but they serve a bunch of other orgs. So I'll let you guys talk a little bit more about what you've been doing, and also about your family, because these are two men who are good husbands, good fathers. They know that they fall short just like I do, but man, do they love their families a lot. And so I get to sit on the other side of them talking about their kids and their wives, and it's a joy. So thanks, guys, so much for being here. And yeah, I'll let you go. Rob, maybe you start sharing a little bit more about you and what you're up to these days, and then Brian, you follow.
Yep.
Yeah. My wife and I moved over recently to the other side of Kansas City. I don't know if you know that, man.
I do know that because Brian and I regularly cry together as we talk about how much he misses you.
It is very, very sad.
Very sad. But also a good thing, I know, but still sad.
Yeah, it was very hard leaving that proximity to Brian and so many other treasured family members, including the microchurch family that had emerged in our neighborhood. We've been on like a new missionary journey over here, Michelle and I, and that's been a blast, like on the treasure hunt in our new neighborhood, and stepping in to serve on a couple of other hub teams over here. And that's been a blast. So yeah, it feels like a new chapter for us. And we feel the same way with the Kansas City Underground. Like we're opening a new chapter, another missionary journey. And Michelle, my wife, she finished her doctorate. Which
wow.
Yeah. So there's a Dr. Wegner in the house.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's incredible.
Her emphasis was missional aesthetics. So it's how God reveals himself through beauty, how beauty is essential to the Missio Dei. And she's, advocating for what we're calling the Beauty Initiative, which is both helping disciple makers and microchurches think about how we bring beauty to our context in a way that is missional. And then also just activating the artists to be both a prophetic disruption and a blessing in our city. And they've got our three girls. We're empty nesters pretty much. So Maddie just took the job as an executive director of a nonprofit that battles like substance abuse among teens and helps develop leadership. So we're super proud of her, man. She just started that job. And then our middle daughter, Whit, is out in Colorado Springs. She's been through a crucible the last couple months. She was in a hit and run accident.
Wow.
But she's making really good progress. Just went back to work. And she really has been looking for the gold in it. Like, I'm so proud of her. She's not wasting the suffering. And then our youngest Belle's finishing up. She's got a year left over at KU. And it's amazing. She had developmental delays. She was a kid who really struggled academically. She's on the dean's list, she's getting like straight A's. It's amazing to watch what God's done. And then in terms of work stuff, besides the Kansas City Underground, I also work for Exponential, and been on that team for about a year. My role is they gave me some really long title. Catalyst. Wait, no. Mobilization and Practice Catalyst. There it is.
All right. Wow.
I'm in charge of like helping Expo rethink. We're in this process of rethinking their whole mobilization pathway for church leaders. Like how do we help them become actually healthy multipliers and
I love it.
And create like ecosystems for multiplication and transformation. And so, yeah, it's been a great experience. And I'm excited about what we're doing next. So, and then I also have, some books I've written and write regularly on my Substack. I love doing that. And yeah, that's me.
Yeah. The Starfish and the Spirit is is that the most recent?
Brian and I have actually written a couple books since then. So one is Extraordinary Prayer, and the last one is Deeply Rooted. And honestly, man, I'm very grateful and satisfied for that last book. I think it is super helpful. So if you're interested in what it means to like actually put down roots somewhere incarnationally and develop rhythms that sustain your soul, but also overflow into mission, it's worth a read.
Well, let's come back to maybe that a little bit. I'd love to hear more about that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. My
those
wife.
Are free, by the way, too. We just give them away. You don't have to buy it.
Do you really?
Yeah. Both of those. Yeah.
Is it digital or you have?
You can. It is digital. You can buy print at Amazon. So if you're old school, you have to pay for the paper, though, not us.
Yeah. That's not free. Yes. Love that. Yes.
My wife Kristen and I are still in our house that used to be close to Rob.
You feel abandoned.
We can talk about all the feelings if we're gonna do a process group today.
Yeah.
We're on the western side of Kansas City. Our kids are much younger, so we have a kid that is finishing up middle school within the next hour. And so he'll be headed off to high school. Super proud of that guy.
Wow.
Got a trip planned with him this summer to Ethiopia as like it's time to come of age, time to realize the world doesn't revolve around you. Let's go see how big it is.
That's awesome.
Triplets that are headed into 7th grade. And then we have an 8-year-old that is headed into 3rd grade next year. So they're all wrapping up school and headed into hopefully just a rich summer together, having some good memories made. So work-wise with the Kansas City Underground, my role tends to be more around systems, structures, kind of building some of the back end of what we do, helping hub teams coordinate, work together, keep moving forward. I also get to do work with a couple of different hub teams. So one here on the western edge, and then Rob and I get to work in our state prison with a hub team that's emerging there. So that's one of the greatest joys of each week.
Wow.
It is watching the way those guys join Jesus, the way they're trying to see multiplication in that space. And then I also have the privilege of working with 100 Movements. So this is an organization committed to seeing the tracks of history in the West move toward a movemental form of Christianity. So I think my title there is Director of Training. So trying to create simple pathways for people to engage. The MDNA that Alan Hirsch wrote about in The Forgotten Ways, pathways for change management. If churches, networks, organizations are thinking through, we want to shift from institutional to movemental, like how do we begin to prototype new ideas, how to dream, and then bring a group of people along with us. So yeah, that's most of my work.
All right. You guys, so it's interesting. I'm curious. There's a part of me that wants to just ask, like, how you're working that out in two very different contexts. Like, Rob, you're working with exponential to develop mobilization, and I know that's another way of saying let's see movemental thinking come in. Brian, you're getting to work with 100 movements, and the groups that I know of, at least that are part of that, are very eager to either they already are trying to live out movemental thinking, or they want to step into that more. Whereas sometimes, Rob, I think you're in a context where just getting the church to be convinced that that's what they were supposed to be in the first place is part of the work, right? Just like getting them won over to the concept. So I don't know. There's part of me wants to talk about that a little bit before we, and I'd like to maybe dial down into the micro. What are you guys doing in Kansas City? Because you both expressed some things like around beauty, working with prisoners. There's just so much. So let's start with a big idea, because I want to tap into that a little bit. And if people aren't aware, you guys have been living out that kind of thinking for quite some time. I mean, that's a lot of what birthed what you're doing in Kansas City, is to see the church mobilized on mission in everyday life to be more movemental in nature. So, and in case people don't know, when you guys talk about microchurches, you're talking about the smallest expression of church that we can in some ways imagine, but then the hubs are how we bring them together to encourage them, equip them so they're not alone, because the coming together is still an important value in terms of building up those who are leading these microchurches. So I just want to say it for listeners in case they're wondering what that language is. But let's kind of jump like 10,000, 20,000 foot level, just this movemental thinking. Because as you said that, Brian, I'm thinking, okay, what are the things you're thinking about? Rob, what do you think? What do you think about when you're trying to help the church or leaders adopt a movemental perspective and then change theory? How do we actually get there? Let's just open that up. That's a big topic, I know, but like, go ahead and share, because immediately I was like, man, I'm trying to do that all the time too, right? Like with our disciple making lab, we're trying to help churches move from program mindset to movemental thinking as well. But yeah, what are you doing when you see that? What are some of the frameworks or big ideas you're trying to help the churches or leaders embrace?
Well, we want them to, just try to grow their weekend services and get more people. And
I thought you were gonna make a joke about the tiny church building behind you or something. Like it's on the table behind you.
Like if the church is small enough, that can throw. So that's how we get it moving.
There's a model of a micro church behind Rob.
Well, we're in videos. We should be able to get it. So.
Well, I say that, of course, to bring up the topic. It has to start with, a paradigm shift. It starts with imagination and then dissatisfaction, So one of the things I do think Expo has been given grace to do is to create frameworks that are disruptive. Like, for example, the level 5 framework, which is big church. Just think about level 1 is basically subtraction, 2 is plateau, 3 is adding or growing, 4 is reproducing, 5 is multiplying. It's such a simple framework, but literally for thousands of church leaders, it's changed the conversation, because the ladder that everybody had the wall on was level 3, which is like, let's grow this thing as big as we can, and without really asking underneath, are we being faithful to the core task of the church of making disciples that are becoming like Jesus and then can multiply that life into others? And then any healthy family, you want it to be a multi-generational family. You don't want everyone living in one house that just keeps getting bigger and bigger for the next 40 years, And I think So in terms of change management, it begins with like cracking open those well-established templates of church that are like the water people are swimming in. And culturally, there's been so many disruptors that have helped with that too. Like my personal experience, like before COVID, I felt like work I would do with Exponential, I felt like I spent more than half my time literally just trying to convince church leaders, like this is the core task of the church, and like normal people can actually like lead expressions of the church. And since COVID, it's like the remnant of church leaders that experienced enough disillusionment, brokenness, pain, loss that are like, you don't have to convince me anymore. like how do we actually do this? So that's been encouraging. It's still a remnant.
So encouraging. Yeah, it still is a remnant. You are right. But the remnant's growing not only with size, but I think when in depth of conviction.
Yeah. They're like, there's a desperation.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of people exiting, like you see in all the surveys of church leaders getting out. But those that are remaining, it seems to be sorting itself out in terms of those that are just trying to go harder, faster, stronger with the old world ways. And then this growing remnant that are like, Lord. And then with the whole movement of Christian nationalism, it requires now like people basically saying, what is the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, who's actually Lord? Like the black and whiteness of it is becoming, I think, intensified. And as bad as it is, the consequences of some of that stuff, there is a redemptive side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there really is. So as you were talking, I was thinking about Bill Kokenauer, who you get to work with and who he's amazing. And he has said to me over the years, Jeff, don't give up. Keep calling the church to it. Because I think for a while there, I was like, oh my goodness, like I just feel like I'm beating my head against the wall. That's what it felt like for a long time. And we felt weird and strange, as pioneers in a lot of ways. But even more recently, it's like, hey, you see what's happening? Like more and more, it's just what you described. More and more people are going, it's time.
Bill, he leads the learning communities, which is a high bar. It's like, hey, it's 9 months. You're going to travel to 3 different places. There's work in between. We weren't even done with the last round of cohorts. And the next round, all 15 cohorts.
It's filled up, right?
Filled up. I know. It's like, there's like people literally like waiting in line. And you know how hard, it's like, that's a big commitment for a church leader.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. Yeah.
It says a lot about their hunger.
Yeah. Amen. Brian.
Yeah, I think a lot of thoughts went through my head when you said, how do we balance that? I think it was like one of the ways you framed it and the history there. I think we would both say what is important for us is that we're embodied in a local context and working it out. And so whoever else we also work for, there's this deep commitment to go, if we don't experience it locally and understand what it feels like to pioneer in your own backyard. I think the phrase we mostly use is you shouldn't tell other people how to do something that you're not doing.
You have to be smoking what you're selling.
Yeah.
That's another way.
Yeah.
That'll sell out here in Seattle.
Yeah.
We're from Missouri, so
yeah, I was gonna say where Rob is now it's very it's apropos. My mind went back to I think 2011, 2012, somewhere when I saw your Soma video, and just thinking about how long we've been at this. Like I hosted little watch parties in my living room. Just trying to paint a picture. And it goes back to that idea of disruption is like, watch something that internally your soul goes, yes, tell me more. Yeah. Reading the Forgotten Ways, and those 6 elements of MDNA around Jesus is Lord, disciple making, and incarnational mission. And, yeah, through the years, we've tried to pay attention to all of that for the sake of the work that we're doing. How do we embody that locally? How do we build a network with this type of DNA? And I think that, very imperfectly, we've given our best attempt at that, and it's yielded fruit. And so we just, again, locally are just trying to pay attention and build with that framework or that paradigm that Rob was talking about. The work that I get to do with 100 Movements is helping leaders through, when you talk about a framework, we use primarily the All Change framework that Rich Robinson wrote about in his book, All Change. And it does begin with disruption, that we have these moments where we're disrupted, and those can happen organizationally and those can happen personally. And the reality for us is like, yes, both. Again, don't do something organizationally that internally you don't feel in your soul, because the disruption is often the place that you have to come back to go, I was dissatisfied. I wasn't okay with what was. And we wanted to move, to remind ourselves organizationally, like we're doing that now, even like, how did we start? Like, let's return to that disruption and call ourselves again to the Lord called us out of something. But the framework that we use post-disruption is this Psalm 23, the life of Jesus that we see in Luke, that like we begin to dream about a greener pasture, which begins to tell us we live in a patchy brown field. So like, how do we cultivate the dreams again, organizationally? What do we want to see? And then internally, personally, we in Kansas City, we haven't used this language, but I'm seeing how we've done that. Like we work with ordinary leaders to go, what's the greener pasture that Jesus is calling you to? How would you define that? And then you begin the work to discover your context, learn the story of the place. I just got to spend another couple of days with Hugh and Taylor and Alton, Brave Cities crew, and the way that they talk about archaeology. Archaeologists don't just like pull up, their discovery and run around the world and tell people about it. They have to get on their knees and brush the dust away very slowly to discover what is there. And then we help ordinary leaders, we help organizations begin to design around what they're discovering. Again, nothing should ever be massive to begin with. It's just these little ideas, these little prototypes that you can experiment with, play with. And then ultimately you reach a point where that design becomes something that you can embody. And usually about that point, you get disrupted again.
Well, let's take these big concepts. Let's now go down to the practical living it out where you guys are at, because it's one thing. It's another reason why I think there's a kindred heart between us is that we've all, and I don't say this to brag, it's just a conviction, deep conviction in us. We've all remained practitioners, and we could spend all of our life if we wanted just out teaching and speaking and writing. We've got plenty to talk about, but we've not been okay with that. It's been a joy. That's been one of the reasons why I love being with you guys, because I feel like we're still dealing with the pain and the challenge and the difficulty of everyday life and mission with people that are still working through this. And so talk a little bit about your context, maybe some of the stuff about the beauty piece that you brought up that Rob, your wife, Michelle, is beginning to really beat the drum for. I've got some thoughts about that too, because as soon as you said it, I'm like, man, that was my earlier days in Soma. That was like, we were embodying that to a level I've never seen a church do, honestly. Wow. Yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. But, and then Brian, also what you guys have done with the prisoners. I mean, I just think there's so much to discuss, and let's get into the soil. Let's get into the tangible, the everyday stuff you guys are doing.
You want to go first?
Sure. So we've moved over to the Missouri side of the Kansas metro, and we live in Kansas City proper, and we're a stone's throw from a little town called Raytown, which is one of the kind of Nazareths of Kansas City. And our new neighborhood is called Oldham Farms. We're about a mile from Swope Park. And Swope Park's the second biggest municipal park in the United States. It's massive. It's like Central Park, kind of.
Wow.
But it's over here in a part of the city where there's just a lot more underserved folks, man. And we wanted to, we were drawn over here for a few reasons. Like, one was we just wanted to be a part of the fuller story of Kansas City. Not that God is distributing his people everywhere. And so we shouldn't be careful to not like judge someone who's in a, let's say, a upper middle income context. It's like God sends his people there. But we had felt this pull for a while. And then we wanted to downsize. We didn't need as big of a home. And then the two hub teams that are over here have a lot of younger people in them. And then we're like, a couple old farts wouldn't help. Like, it wouldn't hurt, rather. You know what I mean? So our current context has been very, very different from our other one. And we have been very warmly welcomed. It's been really amazing. Like, just by starting our normal stuff, which is like, hey, we're going to walk Atticus a couple times a day, and that becomes our prayer walk. That's led to relationships with probably 40 of our neighbors already. And two sets of people of peace that have just warmly welcomed us. One of those families, we were at dinner at their house this last Thursday, and it's gone from like casual to really meaningful relationship. And he's in particular really sought me out. Even as he's like, man, I know you walk all the time. Can we do a one-on-one? And he opened up about a deep dream in his heart that I'm like, God gave you that dream, man. So yeah, we are having spiritual conversations with people. It's like we have gunfire here like a few nights a week. So that's been really scary at first. And it's weird how you get acclimated to it. But there's this little group of people here that, like, when there's a threat like that, it either pushes you apart or pushes you together. So there's a little core group in this neighborhood that have really come together. So it's like the work here has gone so much quicker. Like, there's a little group, for example, that out on Oldham Road, which is the main thoroughfare that goes into Swope Park, like first Saturday of each month, they're like, we pick up all the garbage for like 6-7 blocks. So we've jumped in with them. The last one we went out, one of the guys, he's an older guy, he's in his 70s. He's like, how's it going? Like, you guys have been here, 6 months, 7 months? What do you think? I was like, man, we're falling in love with this side of the city. It's amazing. And he's like, yeah, I know. But I'm trying to figure out why you moved from Shawnee over here. No one moves from Shawnee to this neighborhood. Like, what about all the gunfire and the drugs and this stuff, And we were standing by this apartment complex about a quarter mile from my house where a man was fatally shot a few months ago there. And I said, brother, like, that violence, I can't abide it. And there has to be a better story. And we came over here because we want to be a part of the better story. And he got real quiet. And the next thing he said is like, I've been thinking about my life a lot, if it's going to mean anything. I don't think anything I'm doing is going to end up meaning anything. That was literally the next thing he said.
Wow.
And we ended up, like, as you might imagine, it was like we ended up talking about Jesus for the next 30 minutes. And then he's like, do you just want to come up to my house? I'm like, yeah, I do want to come up to your house.
Oh, my goodness.
Sunday after that, we were reading the Bible together,
Wow.
So it's like in our last neighborhood, it was, 18 to 20 something months, I think, before we were really having these kind of conversations with people.
Yeah.
So it's been a real joy, and we're super grateful. And it's felt like such a easy yoke. Like, there's another house in the neighborhood when we first moved in. It was the house I told Michelle and Belle. It's like, I don't want either one of you to go by there alone, because I was like, I'm almost positive it's a meth house. And I've gone from 80% sure to 97% sure. I stumbled by late at night and they were moving all like the tanks back to the RV where they make the stuff. And man, I was getting daggers from this guy. I was not supposed to be here.
Whoops.
But the owner of that home, he owns a black lab. So his dog Cash and my dog Atticus have become best friends. And he's really opened up his heart to me, man. So it's, he's probably my second closest friend in the neighborhood. So like as an apostle evangelist, my heart is so alive right now. I'm like, I love this stage of the journey. It's like, and I have to be careful. I don't want to turn it into like a performance or something for my ego. But it has been so much fun. And then also scary. Like when I travel now, I'm like, Michelle's home alone, and she's texting me, you cannot believe the amount of gunfire. I drove into a gunfight on Oldham Road. It's like, whoa, dude's out in the middle of the street. Man.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't want to take that lightly.
Yeah.
But we want to be a part of a better story. And there's a community center that our Rock Island hub is starting. And that was another big reason we moved over here, where we're doing like a micro business enterprise incubator. There's going to be a coffee shop. There'll be an art space and an event space. And we're really trying to listen to the community. We want to access their gifts, their dreams. So there is like a deeper work of sustainability that's also happening that we're a part of.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we've been on, our journey. And it's been a joy just trying to be of service to the two hub teams that are over here. Did not come in big, like we're here to, hey, Robert, show it, but to find our role, our part, and how it's been catalytic with, I think, healing things and helping things move forward. So, that's been our season. It's like, a second missionary journey for us,
That's so good. Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Do you know who Radagast the Brown is from the Lord of the Rings?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My mind was not there.
That's Rob's nickname now. Just hear the birds everywhere. He just walks through the woods.
Are there actual birds in your house, or what's going on there?
He's in his garage.
I'm in my garage, man, and we live very close to the Little Blue River. So the number and the amount of birds, and Michelle will gladly say she's a crazy bird lady. Like she has cultivated all the birds coming to our yard. It literally is. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the beauty part coming out.
There you go. Love it.
I'll let Brian go for a little bit about the jail, and then we can come back to the beauty stuff.
Yeah. Brian, what's happening there?
Prison.
Yeah, my dad was working. My mom and dad were missionaries in West Africa for about 12 years. And over the last few years that they were there, he started going into the prison in the work that they were doing. They moved home when we moved to Kansas City, not because we needed help with 18-month-old triplets and only knew one other couple. But that wasn't the worst thing to come home for. So when he got here, it was like, I got to do something. I'm not going to sit. It's just not who he is. So he started volunteering at the state prison. It's about 20 minutes up the road. I think it was probably within a year or two they had hired him because he was there so much. He just did what he knew how to do. And some really beautiful stories. Like if you met my dad, you'd sort of understand if you knew more of his story, but he's become like a father to them because like he would tell me things that he said, to the guys. And I was always like, I don't know that you should just talk directly like that. But then like they pooled their money together and bought him a plaque, which nobody had ever been bought a plaque that was like to David, like you have become this for us. And so he had a real presence among these guys and was teaching them how to do discovery Bible studies. moving them beyond just thinking about the recovery groups that they were a part of or the church services that they were going to, which were all great. They like their lives are turning around. So he is part of leading a program that helps guys transition back into life as they exit the prison system. But he was, disrupting, to go back to that, their mindset of it's not just about these groups you're in. These are needed for your current state and recovering from addiction and the brokenness, the trauma that you've experienced in life. But Jesus has called you. Mm-hmm. And while you're here, you need to make disciples and multiply disciples. So he had been doing that work for, probably, Rob, like 4 or 5 years, kind of by himself. And we celebrated the stories all the time, but it's probably 18 months to 2 years. I just began to have this sense of like, all right, I think the Lord is calling me into something new. Like, we love what we're doing in our neighborhood. There's a richness to the family that's there. But I too don't sit well. It's like, I think it's a new season. So just began praying about, Jesus, where are you sending me? We had another one of the directors in the network works in a youth detention center. And so I was praying through like, hey, he's sort of alone. Maybe he needs a teammate. And then my dad is sort of alone. And we have a conviction in the underground. Like, once you see 4 or 5 micro churches begin to emerge, you need a hub team for the sake of the flourishing of those disciple makers and micro churches. But if you really want to see multiplication and movement, you need strategic thinking as well, so that they don't settle into a rhythm that will become stagnant or even institutional, if you will. So, I just felt a clear prompting. It was to go work with Dad. I shared it with Rob, and he was like, man, I've been thinking the same thing. I didn't want to say it, but now that you've said it, like, let's go. So for the first year that we've been in there, and again, there's so much work was already happening. We're not, in some ways, we're not catalyzing anything new. We're just coming in to blow fresh wind onto the fire that had begun. We just tried to be present, again, both of us doing our emotional health work. So we just went in with a mindset of, hey, let's just do attachment, which meant some of the guys were like, this isn't for me. We need to move faster. We're like, well, we'll move faster when it's time. But we just told stories for 3 to 4 months, long stories. It was basically like one guy a week. But it was a rich space just to see these guys as family, to see their humanity, to walk with them as, the ups and downs of their prison life. We would go in and, 20-something years of leading musically, I just grab a guitar and we'd probably go a half hour in just spontaneous prayer and worship. No plan, except I knew sort of the first song we might start with. And they'd break into reading passages of scripture, getting up and laying hands on each other, praying for specific needs they knew. So as much as we were coming in to just sort of see what is happening, how could we cultivate a hub team, it was teaching us, which, you hear that all the time, right? Like, I went on this mission trip and I learned more. It's like, yeah, because that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Like, God wants to prepare you as much, and also to remind you, he's okay. He's plenty capable of raising up what he wants to raise up, and he's way ahead of you in the work.
Yes.
So, yeah, man, celebrating baptism, celebrating healing, casting out of demons. I mean, like all the stories that you can imagine, we hear them. So really, maybe over the last 6 months, we've taken a turn to say, you guys are here, and we want you to understand your belovedness. That's really what we've been working on. Is we've not come here to give you a program and tell you how to do anything. We've come here as learners and as brothers, but we do have things to give. Like, we've learned a lot about how to work with not disparate ideas, but the beauty, the creativity that God has put in each of you where you feel called. We've cultivated some of that through the last year and a half of, which pod are you going to next? Where's Jesus calling you? Understanding you've been given a masterpiece mission. But over the last, I shouldn't say 6 months, it's really been about the last 2 months, we've done a bit more of, like they would go, we're underground, man.
They're truly underground.
Yeah, like we don't tell anybody. We don't have like an official organization like some of these other churches that come in, so like we're like first rule of Fight Club, which you have to be careful with that reference.
Yes, of course.
But we've sat together and basically said, hey, when we read the New Testament, this is what we see as what a disciple maker is. What do you think? Like, what's the language you would put on it? So rather than saying, like we've said, hey, this is what we've labeled in the underground, but the invitation has been, what words would you change? What could you use and not use in here? What would help you invite other guys into these environments? What do you think a microchurch is in prison? They're like, well, it's not just a Bible study. So like one thing we've been doing is we've been taking like toiletries to this pod right now. Like that's sort of our entrance. Like this is a real issue in prison. We don't have so much access to hygiene products. So we've just been serving the guys that way. And so they're thinking about spiritual fathering. They're thinking about the fullness of the needs within a pod, how to be a gospel presence in each of the pods inside the state prison. And we're just trying to walk beside them to say, like, what's the language you want to use that fits this New Testament ethic of spiritual fathers raising up spiritual sons and multiplying into every part of the prison so that this place looks like the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven.
Wow.
And then, it's just little stories every week. Like 2 weeks ago, they know I'm a runner and they're like, hey, we're going to run a 5K and we're going to raise money to give to the women's prison. And they wrote this whole, like, I don't know what to call it. It's like it's not a manifesto, but their conviction of, we're learning so much about ourselves. And like one of the lines was, one of the things we've learned is we have treated one of the most beautiful creations of God poorly. And we don't want to just say that with words. We're going to demonstrate it with our actions. And so we want to like raise funds to give to the women's program that looks like our program. It's, you can't just walk away every week. And we both on the way back to the car were just like, I just want to come back here every day.
Yeah.
Like this is the space that I want to be in. And don't get me wrong, there's weeks they come in and
I'm sure.
It's like, are you guys okay? And they're like, no. Everybody's calling this guy a rat. Why are they calling you a rat? Like that was a story that happened recently. I mean, it was this beautiful moment where he was like, I want you to know, brother, I'm behind you. I stand for you. I believe in you. I'm on your side. But why are they calling you a rat? This is not attachment.
But there are windows that blow your mind, man, into the kingdom. Like I remember Derek one time, he was like, man, the kingdom is coming so powerfully in here. The other day I was standing at the fence and it's like I couldn't see the fence or the bars or the walls anymore. Heaven is here, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, tell him about the Romans 16 letter. We can stop with this because we'll probably go forever on it. But this is like a really powerful sort of.
We'll go as long as we need to. I don't care. Forget our time limits.
We started. I'll let Rob finish the story, but I'm gonna kick it off. So one of the ways that we started helping them understand the work that we hope for them without saying do this is we just did a DBS on Romans 16 to cultivate an imagination around like extended families all throughout this prison, beyond just Bible studies, beyond just church services. Like, let's just read Romans 16. And what do you hear? So I'll let Rob take it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, already I'm anticipating, because I don't know if you guys know this, for like the Soma family of churches that I'm a part of, Romans 16 has been something we've been sitting in for a long time.
Yeah.
Because the beauty of what Paul had around, this whole team that did this work was so beautiful and diverse, and is amazing. I wish more churches were spending a lot more time in that chapter. But go ahead, Rob.
We do too, man. May we never leave it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the discovery process, them, seeing the 5 households of faith, and then the cultural diversity.
Yeah,
and you could tell they were finding more and more of themselves in the story. And then it was there was a moment too where we were able to say, "This is who you are. Like, you're Priscilla and Aquila.
Yeah.
That's the role God's given you in this network." And at the end, we asked them, it's like, "Hey, go deeper. Like, ask the Spirit what else needs to be illuminated for you, and bring that back the next week." And the next week, Derek had come back, and he had rewritten the whole chapter using the names of the family inside of Lansing prison.
Oh, my goodness.
And I mean, I just wept.
Oh,
yeah.
Started reading it. And I'm like, man, imagine if this was happening in like every network or neighborhood in the city, where there were people that would see themselves that deeply embodied in the story again in their time, and becoming the spiritual mothers and fathers and grandparents and elders. So I actually have that. Like, it's a priceless treasure.
Wow.
I was like, I know I probably shouldn't ask for this. Can I keep this?
Honestly, that's like an artifact.
I know he worked really hard, and he teared up and like, "I want you to have this."
I mean, that's something you want to keep and be able to look back on, and I mean, boast in what the Lord's doing. That's amazing.
And share with the other hub teams. It's like, "Hey, y'all, this is
and
the work. Like, this is how we need to live and see, move, and breathe."
Yeah.
I do want to say too, like, again, we get it's a privilege, it's a joy, it's an honor to like come in and, bring what we've learned through years of, just trying stuff, putting some systems and structures around things. And that's a gift that we have. I think I want the same thing all across our city. I want it in all kinds of cities everywhere.
Yeah, I want it everywhere.
I live for that. But I also want to highlight, it's because there was one dude.
Yeah.
Like, my dad was just faithful.
That's right.
He didn't care if anybody else came up and helped him. It's like, this is my space. And if you stop him and talk to him about it, he'll tell you about it for a while. But he doesn't just run around like, he's not like trying to find podcasts and tell everybody about it, or writing books, or he just goes up every week very early in the morning, sometimes stays late into the night. And I also want to see that, like, the cultivation of the people that just choose, like Jesus, 30 years in Nazareth and not telling anyone he's God.
That's right. Yep. I mean, as you say it, there's an older gentleman that I've had the privilege of coaching for a season. I won't say his name just to protect him, but Southern guy in Georgia in his mid 70s. When I first started meeting him, he's like, "I just never think it's too late." And good big Southern draw when he's talking, and like, "I want to be reunited with my sons, and I know I got some work to do." So we did emotional work. You guys know some of the work that you and I've done. You guys also have done it. But it was also missional work. And like, he's got this thing happening in his neighborhood because he's just pouring his life into his neighbors, and he's become the church on the block. And I think about how many people are in their 60s and 70s and 80s who someone told them just to retire.
Yeah.
and instead of like engage, and I think that's your dad, and I think how many people are out there that maybe have been told to attend a church and give, but never were told to go be the church. And that's really what's going on, is these people are just learning to be the church in the prison, in a broken down neighborhood, in a wealthy neighborhood, you name it. Like, we're called to be that wherever. So,
Amen.
Yeah. Gosh, I want to talk more, but let's do this a little bit longer. I think I can go longer. You guys got some time?
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit more about the beauty piece. We tipped our hat to that, and then we didn't come. I want to come back to it. I love your wife. She's amazing. And I would love to hear, more about what's going on there.
As you know, she's cultivated a way of seeing and a way of being that comes through her photography or through her artwork. Yeah. But it's fundamentally about that way of seeing and the way of being. It's a contemplative way of life, of like practicing the art of noticing and not just looking at the surface, but looking in and through things to find the glory, to find the beauty. And a lot of that comes out of pain. Yeah. Like being in an environment when she was growing up where, surrounded by a lot of violence and concrete, as a little girl, finding Jesus, and then finding Jesus in a flower that's coming up through this crack in the concrete. Like, it's a very vivid memory for her, and she's changed my life. Like, I cultivating that posture and that practice. Like, I'm a way better human being. And that's so important, like, both for our souls, because like every bit of beauty is like, it's the face of Jesus. It's the new creation coming through. And we're surrounded by it. Like, if we'll just look, and that leads to this love affair with Jesus and a irrepressible hope. Like, when you realize all this beauty is the new creation coming through, like, this is where we're headed. More of this. Let's go. You know what I mean? When you start connecting those dots, it's like, like the birds out here keep my soul alive, man. You know what I'm saying? And the flowers we've planted and but that's Michelle's work. Like, she's then been working on her doctorate to really help distill what is missional aesthetics. How does it work? Like, beauty, like it awakens us, then it shapes us, because we're supposed to embody this beauty. We can qualitatively become more beautiful. Like, and that's actually the greatest opportunity going on in our life, that we can actually become more and more like Jesus, that Jesus is more and more fully formed. Like, we need to get to the place where we're like, that is the greatest opportunity in my life, that no matter what's going on, I'm tired of life being hard all the time. But man, am I so grateful that in the midst of it, I've got literally the greatest opportunity to know Jesus and become like him in it. That nothing's wasted. And then that it sends us, like, we get to be the beauty bringers and the beauty discoverers, So that's the heart of the beauty initiative, is to basically help us as a network become attuned to all of that and to embody that. And then also to really activate the artists. And so Michelle's been, there's like a training component. So there's like, she's developed the first training huddle. They've begun a rhythm of retreats for artists. And it's been amazing, man, to watch her cultivate this group of artists and the dreams of God for our city and for them. And the last retreat we hosted actually at our house here. And one of our disciple makers works among a Muslim population, and it's just later life down there in Solidarity for many years. She brought two of her friends, and it was amazing to watch their experience. One of the artists, guy named James, who's a disciple maker in the underground, Michelle asked some of the artists to kind of share like their story and then their process with their art. And James started sharing his story, and he's such a great evangelist. He's like, my former life was thugging, mugging, and drugging, you know? And these two Muslim women were like, they were literally sitting on the edges of their seat. I was watching them, and he told the story of how he met Jesus and then how he got out of prison. And the first night he was back home, and he was like sober, but scared to death to go outside because he used to run the streets literally where he was at. And he's like, I will be overwhelmed with people trying to pull me back in if I go out.
Oh, wow.
And the Spirit, he's telling this story, right? And he's like, the Spirit told me to go look in the closet. And I did. And there's a big piece of wood in there. And then Jesus said, make something. And he's like, that's where he started becoming an intentional artist.
Wow.
And he does a lot of stuff. He likes to do a lot of stuff with typography. He creates, and then he'll go to like a farmer's market or a coffee shop or some kind of art show, and he puts his stuff out. And he's trying to create mystique. Like you read these words and these statements and they're jumbled together with art. And it's like, what does this mean? And he'll be like, well, let me tell you what it means. I used to be into drugging, mugging, and thugging. He's like such like an evangelist. But then he was sharing his process and then showing them like what he does with typography and then how he takes it to Cricut. And these women were just like so drawn in. I love it. Then Michelle and I were talking with them, and they're from India, and we've spent a lot of time in India, and we had all these points in common. And we'd even been to the same like retreat center in the hill country of Tamil Nadu. It was crazy. And at the end of the time, they came up and they said, thank you so much for having us in your home this weekend and letting us be a part of this community. We would be so honored if we could host the next retreat in our home.
Wow.
Is that happening?
Persons of peace already. Look at that.
Multiplication.
Yep.
And one of the other artists, Sam, since then, she also presented there. Last night, she hosted, I think it was like 20-something Muslims for a birthday party. And so it's like, it's happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like,
I love it.
It's just, and we just want to see that multiplied all over the city. Like ordinary people, like part of our training, our Breathe and Bless huddle now is like, when it comes to service, we ask them like, what beauty can you bring? Like, what is it that you're good at? Like if you're good at golf and like when you play, it's actually beautiful. Or like when you make meals, it's beautiful. Or you're good with X, Y, and Z. Like how can you bring your beauty intentionally to your context?
That's right. We're all made in the image of a creator God. So we all have the ability to create.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah. And beauty is like essential to God accomplishing his mission.
Absolutely.
It's how he does it.
Yes.
You know? And we live in such an ugly world. So Michelle's, we're right at the beginning of all that.
Love it.
We'd love to see, like, imagine that being multiplied like yeast in the dough, you know, all over the city, both artists and then ordinary people going, I'm actually an artist too. I'm a creator. Right. Everybody's a creator.
Absolutely. Yep. I love it.
Yeah. I think too on that, just to add a point is the length of time. I think one of the things, I think you opened with some question of that, or maybe we were talking beforehand about like what we're learning.
Yeah.
Like we're such fast-paced people. And even like in the other work that we both do, there's a sense of we only have a season with people. So we're often, the work that we talk about often sounds like it's fast. And it's not. Yep. And it was, I think it's David Brudrick, disciple making movement leader in South Africa. We were having a conversation with him and we were talking about, the curve, like the exponential curve, that kind of thing. And I think it was me. I think I made some, or maybe it was Corey. I don't know. I made some comment about like when the curve turns up and it accelerates, and he was like, "No. That is not what is happening. It doesn't get faster. Like it's always slow work. It's just that there's more people doing slow work.
Huh.
Or whether it's that flower coming from a seed through the crack in the concrete, or whether it's dad's work in the prison for 5 or 6 years alone, or whether it's just slowly cultivating these spaces of beauty. It's like it's all really slow work. The invitation is just to invite more people to do the really slow, faithful work.
Amen. Yeah.
That's a really good word.
It is. It's like slowness and all the S words, silence, solitude. They're like an act of resistance.
Yeah. And suffering. I mean,
suffering.
I think that's another thing I don't think we talk about enough, but Jesus talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
And prepared his disciples for it. And if we're not careful, and I've learned this too, when I tell the stories sound like they happen really fast, but they don't. Almost all of my stories that I can point to took several years to see something change. They often include a lot of suffering. And we don't often talk about that because we don't want to talk about all the hard stuff, but we need to. And they definitely require sacrifice. I mean, your dad's going to that prison over and over and over again. He's sacrificing his life for those men.
Yeah.
And and silence and solitude and all the other S's, like we said. But I think that's really important to highlight that, especially leaders listening, because I know a lot of leaders want their whole church to change. And I'm like, you got to start by just going and living it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's part of what you guys are talking about. Is like, let's talk about the heroes that nobody knows about, the people who just went and did it.
Yeah.
And stayed in it and were faithful and then multiplied, and then someone else did it long enough for it to multiply. But you're right. That's a great reminder. It isn't fast. It's slow, but more people are doing it.
Yeah.
So may God help us.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, let's close with this. Sometimes the Spirit brings a word or a image or a kind of final exhortation to our hearts when we're in these moments. Is there anything that you guys have bubbling up? And if not, then we'll just say goodbye to everyone. But if there is something, I want to make sure there's space for you to speak.
Yeah, I'll just share one thing really quick that has been coming. I think I just want to say it to remind myself, if that's all right. But maybe it's helpful to somebody else. I had a good friend locally that told me, Rob's already heard this like 18 times, but this flow of if we want to have hope in something, we have to have an imagination for it. But to have it like an actual imagination for something that we could hope for, we actually have to have an experience in it. So I'm trying to like disprove him, but it is impossible. But I just keep saying it because I'm like, yes, more of that. And so I think like in conversations like this, we get a hope for something. Like I even feel it now. The whole time we're sitting here, I'm like dreaming again, like, oh,
yes,
what
I was too.
This, and we'll get our leaders together and talk about, I have a hope for that. But I have a healthy imagination for it because I've experienced it locally enough that I know that we can bring leaders together, talk about these stories more to see more of what we're hoping in. But I was kind of pressing against what he was saying, and he kept pushing back and going, no, I'm telling you, this is the way. And my push was like, where's the experience come if you don't have it? And he's like, you find people that have had it and you just get around them. And that's just like more the invitation for me lately is I want a bigger imagination. And to do so, I want to put myself in the same spaces where people are experiencing more of the movement that I long to see. And then I'm getting that experience with them.
Yeah.
Which then can expand that imagination for this greater, move of beauty, justice, and good news in our city that we hope for.
I mean, what you're saying is one of the reasons why, and I didn't come up with this. One of the guys that was a part of Soma years ago said, let's do a Soma school. And all it was immersion.
Yeah.
And we'd start on a Monday, not a Sunday, because pastors would show up and go like, show me what you're doing on Sunday. I was like, no. Go live with a group of people all week long and experience it. And of course, they'd come back at the end of our time together and go like, okay, I can't unsee.
Mm-hmm.
I saw too much. I experienced too much. Now I actually believe God's people can live differently because I got to be immersed in it. But it was experiential. Mm-hmm. That was the highlight. Every one of them said, if I didn't live with this family or this single or whoever it was and experience life on mission all week long, I'd have went back and thought I needed to make my Sundays better. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, I came back and realized that God's people can be equipped and mobilized because they experienced it. They had faith again and hope for their people. Yeah. So, amen. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, I would just add, like there's somebody listening, I think, and you need to give yourself grace to be slow.
Yeah.
And to be silent. There is so much pressure, not just from the culture of the world, but it's inside the church.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, it feels this pressure to perform, to produce, to make things move fast. And if you would give yourself permission to be slow and especially to be silent, like start your mornings with some silence. Someone knows exactly who I'm talking to. Like where you aren't accomplishing or achieving anything. You're not filling another task. You're just remembering that God is with you, that you're loved, and that whatever context you're in, to move from that place. Become really curious about the people and their stories and where God's already at work. And summer is a really good time where there's almost like a natural rhythm to create more space.
Yes.
So do that, like make space for Sabbath, for slowness, for solitude, and treasure his presence. There's still this old pre-modern concept buried in all of us of like a 3-tiered universe. Like God is out there and we're here and hell's below us. And you're a temple of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Like God is here. He's immanent. He's everywhere. So make that your mission this summer.
That's so good.
Like prophetically, there's somebody this is for you.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, me included. Yeah, I was just sitting there thinking, Lord, let it be so for my life. And as you were saying it, I was sitting there thinking, oh, Jeff, slow down, be quiet. And I'll add another S, give me sight.
Amen. Yes, Lord.
Right, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see what you see.
Yeah.
So, man, Lord, would you open our ears and eyes and hearts?
Yes,
because he's already at work. We said it earlier. He's doing tons of work around us. We just need to be good archaeologists and slow down and be silent and let him open our eyes to see it.
Child, enjoy childhood in the kingdom, man.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
We love you.
Love being with you. Thanks so much for all you're doing. If someone wanted to reach out and just learn more or connect with you guys, what's the best way to do that?
KCunderground.org.
Okay.
You'll see stories, connect with kind of the work that we're doing. KCunderground.org/toolkit has a lot of the resources that we use to train local leaders in this work. So those are like, the two. We do have a podcast. It's very cleverly titled the KC Underground Podcast. And then
if folks want, there's a Starfish Substack. I always forget the web address. What is it? Let me hang on a second. I gotta look it up.
Just
Starfish
go to Substack.
IOU.substack.com.
Good.
And sharing learning there too.
Wonderful. Well, as always, thanks, guys. So appreciate your work. I wish we were in person. We could hug each other, but we'll just imagine doing it.
Yeah.
Get back to imagination.
Yeah. I have an experience with it, so.
We have experienced it, yes. All right. Again, thanks for being with us. If you're listening and maybe you heard those and you didn't get the information correct, and you need more help getting connected to these guys, just send an email at hello@saturatetheworld.com. We'll have all of it to give you if you need it. And again, thanks you guys so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Great.